What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Kinda Isolated, where I have a Kinda Isolated happy hour with a very special guest. And this week, we have someone very, very special with us. Niles Dhar. Just wait, yeah. Sure. Niles Dhar, also known as Cashmere, an innovative producer, an absolute superstar, the world over. Make some noise for Niles Dhar, Cashmere. You can clap for yourself.
Okay. I feel like at least two people have to clap. Right?
It's all right. It's all right. We're helping. Everyone's going to clap at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're clapping in your mind.
Yeah. This is cool, man. This is actually the first time that I'm seeing you in years, and we were pretty close. We were working on tracks together at my house. You'd come over.
We sure were.
And but then, I mean, you obviously got popular, and you had your own career going on. But it's cool to that's cool to come back.
That's how I remember it too. I just feel like I was just getting too big for you, so I had to.
you get busy. You know? I mean, that's just life. But it's cool to come back in this way. You know.
I want to touch on that, but first, our first drink, because we do drink in this show. Right. We're not promoting drinking, but we do like to drink. Our first cocktail is a tequila mule. Okay. So you know the traditional Moscow mule, correct?
I'm familiar, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the Japanese spin. So it's tequila.
Okay.
And you requested tequila.
I did.
So let's try it out. Let's see how we like it.
Thank you, man.
We're just ASMR sipping right here.
It's real good. Real ginger, but you get the tequila and the copper. You taste that. You feel it sort of on a subconscious level. And then there's the little ice cubes. You guys can't see it, but it looks like a bunch of human teeth. These tiny
human teeth. That's a new adjective.
Ice. I mean,
or description. Excuse me.
Yeah, but that does a lot. So like every droplet is cold.
That was a really nice description you just gave of the drink. Yeah. That was really nice.
No warm
Have
droplets.
You done this before?
No.
Have you done this? This was not pre-scripted, I promise.
Yeah.
Dude,
no,
yes.
Great.
So it is great to see you, and you jumped right into it. But it's crazy to think that. So thank you for saying yes to this, and also it's awesome that after all these years and our careers going all sorts of ways, like when I first met and came over, just so you guys know, I worked with Cashmere or Niles. At the time, you weren't even Cashmere yet. Right?
Oh shit! I was still just the Cataracs.
You were still just the Cataracs, and you were just a big inspiration for a young whippersnapper like me. And so I came in, and I remember coming into your house and being like, "Whoa, this is crazy! He wants to work with me." And it's crazy to think that was before this whole project started. I remember you telling me about it though.
Right. Yeah. So. That was probably an awkward period where I had this group with my friend David called the Cataracs. And if you guys don't know it, don't worry about it. Maybe Like a G6. Yeah, that was the big one that we produced that you guys might know. And we broke up, and then I didn't know what the hell to do, so I just kept doing it. So I was the Cataracs. It was just me, and I was producing, and I was putting out songs sometimes. And I think you came over, and I was like, yo, let's work on some tracks. We could get in place. We could get rappers on it or whatever. And you were down. You were just down for the cause. And everything was dope that he was doing, even back then, by the way. I don't think anything really materialized out of it.
Unfortunately, no.
But sometimes, it's like you really want to work with someone. It's just you don't have the right idea yet that's going to land, And I was transitioning. The Cataracs was in that weird phase, and I started ghost producing. And then through ghost producing, I realized, okay, maybe I can make dance music. And that's when I made the full transition over to Cashmere.
Yep.
And then you, in that process, I mean, you were just playing gigs and you were putting out songs. And I remember, God, you had done a really good Burn remix. I don't know. I don't want to say that was the one that popped you off. I'm not sure. But it was just like remix after remix you were doing. That was great.
I think that would have been 2013, maybe around then, maybe even 2012. I feel like I remember... And it's funny how I remember it too was that I wasn't going to bring up the ghost production thing, but I remember knowing that was a big thing you were doing. And I remember thinking like, wow, I want to work with the guy who's making other guys' music because I'm like, yo, I mean, he knows what he's doing. And I remember thinking it was so cool. And when you showed me some of the music, I was really excited for you, but it was still such a long ways off. And some of those beats, I tried to go find some of them. I remember there was one that was like a Russian style beat.
Yeah, we call it Russian roulette.
Yes, and if I find it, I'm going to put it over this video somewhere. Maybe like right here.
You were always pulling the dopest samples, I remember.
I don't know.
Just flipping them into crazy hip hop.
I was an editor, a film editor when I got out of college and in school, and I think for me that's how I learned to sample was, you know, or like make music was just sampling. So I think that's that's where my ear always went. But you know, when I was working with you, you know, this is a toot your horn, is that I was so inspired because there was so much I didn't know about production and also, you know, song structure and things like that. And there's a lot of notes and things that you would suggest that I'm like, well, I never even thought about that, or you know, that's how it is. So I think it's funny, you know, to see. But I already knew that, you know, this project was going to be big. So
thank you, man. Shit.
I mean, everyone's heard of Cashmere, you know?
I didn't know it. I mean, honestly, it was a real scary time when the Cataracs stuff was just obviously not going to go back up. It had like done its up thing, and it was like, and you know, and I didn't want to admit it at first, but it got to a point where it was just so obvious. And I went to my management, and I had this idea of doing the Cashmere thing, and I suggested it to them, and they were just like, listen, we'll follow you if that's what you want to do. Are you sure about it? Do you want to sort of abandon this Cataract stuff? Which was a tough decision to make, because the Cataract stuff was still making decent money. Yeah. I mean, you know, every once in a while I'd produce something on Jason Derulo's album or something, money would come in, it'd be good, you know, be good financially. And I knew that if I was going to do the Cashmere thing, I'd really have to put a stop to this sort of fishing for like, oh, I'm trying to land a pop song. I'm trying to produce a pop song and making that my whole life. I'd have to just dedicate my time to my own music. And I had to tell that to my management. I had to be like, I am 100% that this is what I want to do, which wasn't true. I mean, I was like 50% maybe, you know, but there's really only one number when you're trying to persuade people. It's either you're 100% or you're 0%. Yep. People can't be led by any in-between number, you know. So whether or not you're 50%, you have to decide. I'm 100%, and so I just went for it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like this was such a, you'd always been behind the scenes, and you, if I was remember right, weren't you learning to DJ at the time too? Because you, so like the whole project was a new venture for you. Because
totally
it was like
new,
you're like, hey, I'm gonna take this on. I've already been making music for all these other guys that are getting big off my music. Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna do it myself.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to sound like such a victim. I mean, at that
That's
point,
not a victim. That sounds normal to me.
No, but I mean the other guys getting big off of the songs. You know, like it was always a mutual thing with me and the guys like that I worked with. But yeah, I had to learn how to DJ. That was scary. I mean, I was gonna play my like first ever show, and I waited a year, you know, putting out songs as Cashmere to play a first show. So by the time I did, there was enough hype to like, you know, bring in a good crowd. And it was my first time DJing ever, you know. So I was, you know, definitely nervous, and I had practiced the exact same set, like, you know, 20 times, the exact same set. And I had made all these transitions for myself. So like BPMs were just like built into it, and just trying to make my life as easy as possible so that I don't flop. But it was scary. It was definitely scary.
Yeah, I mean, the first show is always a scary.
Yeah, what was your first show?
My first show? Oh, God. My first show was in college. Me and my buddy at the time, we started as a duo, a different name. Didn't know how to make music.
What was the name?
Soundscape.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. No. Yeah, and we were throwing like bus parties. So we'd like go to a bus company, and we knew this guy who managed this hotel, and he's like, yeah, you can bring some people in, and we'll host it in the little ballroom. And we had like this little iDJ set up from, I think we got it at Walmart or Target or something at the time, just plugged into your computer. And we had some speakers we saved up and bought, and we bought these really cheap like party lights.
Okay.
And our very first party, we came in and we had too many people, and the guy got freaked out and shut us down, and then nobody trusted us to throw up another party for a while after that. But
that's cool though. The reason I ask about like if you had the pull like that, because I look at a guy like you, and I remember early on being fascinated because of how much energy you had. And I've always been a little bit envious of people who just naturally have a lot of energy, because I always felt like I gravitated towards music and producing because I could lock myself in a room and I could make something really impressive, and then I could like print it, and I could take that out to the world, and I would be like, oh, this is, you know. But if I'm in high school walking through the halls and somebody like disses me, I have not, like, it's gonna take me so long to figure out what to say back to that guy that I'm just gonna like kick myself for the rest of the day. I never succeeded in those situations socially, at least growing up.
Yeah.
And so like it was always fascinating to me, people who like approach music out of a purely like energy thing, you know. It's like I hear it in the drums that you do and the way that you produce. It's like I would have taken too long on that drum pattern and wound up with something way more basic, but you almost just like you felt it. I laid this down, I felt it, and then you would have this drum pattern that was like way more intricate, but it just felt right, like it came together. I remember your drums, I was always like, that guy's brain works differently than me.
I mean, I think it's just well, thank you. That's very, very nice of you to say. I think
very ADD, but it worked. You know?
I mean, yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah.
It.
I was never diagnosed, but I mean, I think so. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know but fuck it. They have a name for everything. Who cares?
I know. There's absolutely
whatever you are. If you can exploit that, and you know what I mean, and make the most of it, that'll be your weapon.
But see, I think at the same time, you say that whenever I come in and I worked with you, I was so jealous about the way your mind worked because I didn't ever learn the musical theory side of things. So for me, that's what I have learned all these years and have gotten better at. You know, I think for me, the rhythms maybe came better, but I grew up when I was younger wanting to be an actor. So I think maybe I was more comfortable on stage. But when I started, I didn't put two and two together that I needed to first make the music. I was just enjoying the DJing part.
Right.
So for me, it was never like, I think for me, I went down the wrong path. And my biggest mistake was that I didn't sit in a room and work on music. I went out and I just tried to go perform. So I got that performance side, which maybe you saw.
Right.
But I played catch up my whole career on the music side.
Oh,
right?
To having your own original music.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So like when you knew me, that was really the early days of me even trying to create not only my own music, but my own sound.
Right.
You know, so I think that's super interesting.
But you know what? I'm sure you have questions, so this will be the last thing I say, but I think that there's a real power to people who started out just performing and getting really familiar with the feeling and the push and pull at what works with people, and then they go in and they make music.
Yep.
You know, because their perspective is so focused on how it's really gonna be, you know, touch people, what its real effect will be, and then you go and make music. And sometimes real producer, dorky guys, they're like almost just, you know, proud of something very difficult that they did. Like, I did this chord progression that is music theory based and shouldn't work, but it does, and it took me so long. And it's like, but they're not so focused on the end result of it. And so I think people who have a really strong grasp on what moves people, and then they go into music, they don't do everything just because it's technical and perfect. They'll do just enough to reach people and to touch people in the way that they want to. And it's not this big masturbatory, like, how much can I show off in music, you know? And I think it's a different path, and often I think it's the right path. I think most geeky producers need to learn more of that, of like simplifying.
Yeah, I think it's it's a great point. I think it's a balance too. You know, everything in life's a balance, and I feel like, you know, one of my all-time favorite producers, Rick Rubin, right?
Yeah,
the guy,
definitely.
Everything he touches is, you know, he has a way, but you know, he's not physically sitting there playing the keys or even a lot of times producing the sounds, but his vision for something is just as important for getting there than, you know, what you laid down or what you did on the synthesizers or the way you did your drums. And I think that, I'm sure as you've seen, sometimes even with collaborative efforts, it's like you get a better product when you work with other people or have other minds or are able to look at it from a different perspective because, you know, kind of touching on what you were just saying is that if you are completely just locked in and you're making what you are and you're locked in doing that, you're not getting any sort of outside experience or inspiration. You're just kind of focused on that world. So that's a good point you made because it's kind of like that. You need to have that balance. And so I guess maybe for me, when I came in, you know, it's all relative because I look at and I'm always jealous of, you know, the skills you have, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's benefits to both sides.
Definitely.
But,
I watched the Beastie Boys documentary.
So
good. And they had their whole section on Rick Rubin, and it was so crazy to see that they were just following him around.
Yes.
Like, he was the one who came in with these strong opinions about this is cool, this is what you need to listen to. All that shit you guys are listening to is super lame. And it's been a theme I've seen in life that you just gotta believe in something strongly.
Yes.
It's not really what it is. People tend to gravitate towards someone who just believes the strongest in something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how often do you hear people say, well, I don't know, he seemed pretty sure. I'm going with that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like if somebody, it's like you go to a botanist and you might not know anything about flowers, but the guy who obsesses over it and he tells you where it came from and what it's going to remind you of and the childhood feelings.
Right.
And you're like, fuck, I mean, I want to go with that guy. If you're going to get a flower, it might as well be from the guy who cares about it that much. And so I think we tend to gravitate towards someone who just feels so strongly, that they'll it's a path to success also. Just whether or not you're good, if you're willing to stay on it and you're so determined, then I think the doors will open up for you. The problem with people is just finding that thing that they're so passionate about. That's the tough thing. And I think we're lucky because we found music, but that's tough.
I think I'm still finding that exact passion of what, like this. I'm working on a new exam. I can't even speak. Working on a new album right now, and I'm finally feel like I found my sound after all these years.
Yeah.
The way from where I started to where I'm at now, and I think that what you're saying is a great point, and what you just said. Anybody who's an aspiring producer that's watching this, that was a great point. But I think that that is super important because, as I'm sure you've dealt with and have seen, and even in the pop world when you're doing that production or hip hop, it's like everybody wants to just copy what was already done.
Sure.
And I think that when you came into the scene, you introduced not only your production abilities and your musical skill, but you brought in a new sound and a new style, and also a worldly sound that I think was missing from a lot of the music at the time. And I don't want to put words in your mouth about where that influence came from, but I think that to me, I hear that when I listen to your music, and I think that that's super important for someone who's trying to come up with start music or do whatever. Is that you got to have a voice beyond just I want to make dubstep or hip hop or like pop music, because the people that are injecting their sound, those are the people that everybody wants to copy already. But you can't do that because they've already done it. This drink is delicious.
It's pretty good.
Are you enjoying
it's
it?
It's a little sweet, if I gotta be honest.
Okay, well, we're gonna. Bartender's fired.
But
out,
you didn't know, right? I mean, yeah, no idea.
Mules can be a little sweet sometimes, especially with the tequila, it's not going to come through as much. But I am no mixologist, so don't quote me on that.
No, it's a good drink. It's just my personal taste.
So the new album.
Yes.
Look at that! Look at that smile.
I'm very happy about the album. Yeah.
That makes me happy to see you happy. Okay. Now tell us, Harmonica.
Andromeda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really excited about this.
Tell
us about it. How did it come together?
It came together. So I went to Big Bear, which is for people who aren't familiar with LA, it's like an hour outside, and it's where people go to snowboard and stuff. But you can also get a nice little cabin, and that's what I did to work on music for a couple weeks, and I just locked myself in there. And it's not the first time I've done it. I have this strategy sometimes of forcing myself to make like 3 ideas in a day. Just little, here's a melody, here's some chords, you know? And so by the end of it, I had like 30 ideas, and I narrowed it down to the ones that I felt strongly about. And then over the course of the last year and a half or 2 years, I would chip away at them, and each song would sort of start to come to life. And it might have been a loop that was just, one that's blossomed into whole different melodies and everything. But it was tough with touring, and I was really able to dig in since the quarantine. And that took me out of this mentality of like, okay, I was on the road, I have a week back, let me go for the lowest hanging fruit. What is a song that I could actually maybe finish in the course of this week?
Right.
So that I know that as an artist, I have music coming out regularly. And instead of that, I got into this mentality of, well, let me just explore. And if nothing good comes out this week, whatever, but I was trying new things, and I wasn't just sticking to my old patterns. And that gave me the opportunity to take some of these songs just on a crazy journey. Like, you've had multiple drops on your songs, that are like one is a totally different style from the last one. And this is sort of, it's like that, and it's just going down the rabbit hole of, okay, well, what if the melody's not even the same? And what if it just takes you to this whole different world, which sounds like it would be a bad idea, and it's typically a bad idea to just abandon sort of an idea. But if you can somehow create the balance of keeping the sort of world that you put them in at first intact, but you still take them to another place, then you can get something really interesting that takes you for a wild ride. And I feel like with each of these songs, I was able to accomplish that, not just because I'm so great, because I just had so much time. So I was able to make 30 versions until it worked out. And so I've just never been more proud of any music that I've made. And also the reason I laugh is because I wrote this tweet that I got flamed for on the internet that was saying I think it could be one of the best electronic albums of all time. And I never knew that would make people so angry. I thought they might say, hey, he's delusional, but people got really angry.
You mean, people on the internet getting angry? That's bizarre. Never heard of that. Yeah. So at one point, before your career took off, as I believe the Cataracs, was that your first group you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were living in downtown LA with a group of people surviving off Subway.
Yes. That's funny, yeah.
Was that the only thing you ate?
Yeah. So when I first moved to LA, I was in North Hollywood, and then after that I was in downtown LA, and I was so broke that I used to just get a foot-long Subway sandwich, and I'd eat half in the morning and half at night. And I was living off of coffee also, so I'd have the same Starbucks cup that I would bring back, because if you got a refill, it was only 50 cents. If you bought a new one, it was $2. So if I went back with the same cup every day, for 50 cents, I was getting my coffee. So I had a whole scheme.
Young entrepreneur, coffee entrepreneur. Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. So would you say that did you have a favorite Subway sandwich? Or did you have what's the secret to making a Subway sandwich?
I'm very boring. I would just get the same thing every day. See, I was always very paranoid about my energy levels because, unlike you, I'm naturally not a very energetic person.
You keep saying that. I don't wake up every day and do jumping jacks. I'm not.
But you're pretty fucking energetic, man. Come on. And
not the Tasmanian devil.
And I would be really conscious about the things that I felt like contributed to my energy. One of them was food, and the other was caffeine. So I'd have this whole regimen where I'd make sure the food had digested for about an hour. That's how I'd get the longest, most potent use out of the caffeine. And yeah, I know, right? And with the food, I would split it up. So I'd eat half, I'd let it digest, I'd eat half later, and it would always be this chicken breast with just some vegetables and maybe some sauce. Sometimes not. I mean, sometimes it got crazy where I was like, oh, the sauce has sugar in it. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe that's going to be... Because I was obsessed with this idea that, today I could write the best song, and I got to make sure that I set the table perfectly if the best song wants to come out today, And I really struggled with energy and having a lot of energy and continuing to be excited about music, I was excited mentally, but then my body.
Now do you think that
old man
maybe you didn't have enough energy because you were eating Subway sandwiches as your only meal? Maybe we need to get our second drink going right now because
yes, please,
we are getting wild. So second drink coming up is, guess what? It's another tequila drink because you requested tequila.
Yeah.
Tequila is also my favorite.
Thanks, guys.
And it sounds like you like something called a spicy margarita.
Yeah. I love it. That's my favorite.
That happens to be my favorite too.
Really?
So perfect.
Hey,
cheers to that.
That's awesome.
This is a spicy margarita. You personally requested this one.
This is my favorite.
Do some ASMR sipping into it.
It's great.
That's great.
It's really fantastic.
That's cool. A little spice. It's delightful.
Yeah.
So before we get into my favorite segment of Sip or Spill, I want to talk about your new album because it's incredible.
Yeah.
I got actually what's cool is before this aired, just so you guys know, full disclosure, I got a full listen through the album. It was awesome.
Oh man, you loved it?
I loved it.
Maybe one of the best of all time.
I mean, I think so. Probably. That's probably. I mean, I think that if on the pantheon of electronic albums, that's probably number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Probably.
It was great. In all seriousness, it was awesome.
Thanks.
I think it was really cool because it felt like there was almost like two like an A side and a B side in a way, where there was two different emotions going on. Did you feel like that, or am I off base?
No, I know what you mean. I mean, there's a few select songs where I tried to make it more of a package song, and you know, if you've got a good melody and you've got a good vocal, you don't want to, what do you say, keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to overcook it. And so for those songs, I feel like the right thing for them was to keep them fairly structured and simple. And then the rest of the songs are, you know, kind of a little bit all over the place, maybe more adventurous. Not to say one's better than the other, but
Of course.
so I tried to create a cool flow from the crazier stuff into those songs.
Yeah,
both are important.
I think it showed the range of you as a producer, which I think is great, and I think that it stands out the fact that, you know, I think just from, you know, knowing what your music was, like we were talking about earlier in this chat about, you know, how you started and now where you're going, and it does feel like, I wouldn't say like a full evolution, but it just feels like you're continuing to grow and expand, you know, your sound and your brand, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we were talking earlier about how the Indian style mixed with dance music became sort of like my calling card. And there was a period where I was almost imitating myself. Like I saw that worked, and I did like it. So I just sort of kind of made, you know, I took that blueprint and kept following it. And then for the album, it's more about all the music that has ever influenced me. So there's more hip-hop influence, which used to be a really big thing for the Cataracs.
Right.
And now I'm not really running away from that, and I put that in here. And Cashmere, I don't know how it looks from the outside looking in. Sometimes it's a little bit of a serious sort of, I'm this formal guy, and it's not who I wake up every day as, you know? And the album was an opportunity for me to be like, just a little bit more open with the different aspects of my personality, and not take it so seriously. And if I like something, to just go for it. So there's more hip hop stuff, and I'm just over Big Room, although that's how I made it pretty, you know, far. Was
Right.
Big Room. I just got sick of songs that I wasn't listening to on my own time, like when I was in the car. So these songs are all really fun for me to listen to. Sounds egotistical. I mean, you must listen to your own music a lot. I mean, whether you admit it or not. I mean, right?
I mean,
I
definitely found myself being my own harshest critic, though, for
You
sure.
do?
Yeah. I listen to stuff and then I'm like, oh, I hate it, and I
Yeah.
don't know why. But I think it's because it's like hearing your own voice sometimes.
Sure.
You know how everyone hates the sound of their own voice?
It's everything.
Like when we play back when we're
Yeah.
editing these, it's like I'm like,
the worst.
dude, I sound like I'm
Sure.
mixed through a fucking garbage disposal. That's what I
Everybody
think,
else's
yeah, you know?
music always sounds like they're a little smarter, like they know how to do something you don't. I think if you think of music as being this is good, this is bad, this is better,
Right.
That's the trap. That's
It's not black and white.
Because like, you know what I was saying, I go back to my 8-year-old self and ask him, am I doing all right by you? The 8-year-old, maybe you're that old when you like Metallica, he's not thinking like that, you know what I mean? He's not thinking of like, this is musically better than this or whatever.
Right.
You feel it or you don't. And as an artist, if you can keep yourself in a state that you're feeling it, that's all you need to do. That's your whole job.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And it seems like you're feeling the new album.
I'm absolutely feeling the new album.
He's feeling it. Okay, cheers to that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
And with this new cheers, what we're going to do, this is a segment we like to call Sip or Spill. So basically, I'm going to ask you some questions. If it feels too uncomfortable or you don't want to answer it, you can sip.
Okay.
Or you can spill.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I really broke the bank on that one. We're big brains over here. It kind of isolated. Okay, the first one. This is blanket. So I mean, hey, the more scandalous, the better for the tabloids. You know, I know they're following around TMZ.
Yeah.
You ready?
Like you set the common ground.
Who is your least favorite collab? What is your least favorite collaboration?
Oh.
Don't say me. No. I'm just kidding.
No, wasn't you. Oh, one of the worst human beings.
Are you gonna call him out?
Well, yeah, I'll call him out.
Amazing.
One of the worst human beings was the guy who sang that song "Rude." Remember that song that was popular?
Why you have to be so rude? Yeah.
This guy was awful. So I was working a lot with Enrique Iglesias at the time, and he was in LA, And we had a session where he was like, hey, this guy's, he's got the song, it's doing well. I think he could be a great writer. We bring him in. I forget what the guy's name is, douchebag. And he comes in, and we're writing a song with him. And I got my friend Anthony, who you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's a little chubby, a little bigger guy, And the guy in there, first of all, he's making comments about Anthony. And he was like, yo, man, look at me. I'm 35 years old. I got a six-pack, bro. You can't just, go to the gym. Says that to Anthony, right? So already I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And then the engineer who's recording, right, because we're trying to write the song, he's doing the vocals. He got some chain that he likes, sound good, vocals sound good. And then, dude walks over to him, the singer of Magic, that's the band's name. He's like, hey, do it like this. He tells him to. And the guy's like, no, really, with this setup, trust me, it works better. That's how, I went to the school. That's how I was taught to do it. And the guy was like, did your teacher have a Grammy? I asked him that. He's like, because I do. I got a Grammy. I was like, oh, my God, you're just the worst. So after those two things, there's probably other smaller things, but those two things alone were enough to make me really not like the person. So that probably makes him qualify. And it doesn't help that the fucking song he's famous for is Why You Gotta Be So Rude. It's just, come on, man. And also, to top it all off, he started off the session talking about his music, saying, and this is going to sound funny coming from me, but my band is going to be the biggest band in the world. He said, Magic. He's like, mark my words. And I hated seeing the song become popular because I was like, oh, God, what if he's right? It's like Donald Trump, it's like the worst people. They just what's it called? They manifest it, They're so stupid and arrogant, and it's actually becomes real, and it's just like, that was the worst 4 years, and it was the worst, Donald Trump, and then in this case, it was like the worst 3 months of hearing that song every day, and I'm like, this fucking asshole, the last guy on earth who deserves to have a number one song out. I hated every time it came on the radio. I hated it, and that guy sucks, and
the moral of the story, the singer of Magic sucks.
Yeah, guy sucks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what's crazy about that is it's interesting you say that because this industry, and just like anything really, like word travels. And I mean, I've worked and I've heard stories about people that I'm like, man, you can take, all it can take is one or two things like that, and it's like people don't want to work with you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to carry yourself with, you know what? Just don't be a douchebag.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
It's really not that hard. Don't be a douchebag.
Not that hard. I mean, sometimes I think people overcompensate a little bit because, it's like maybe they've seen other people succeed that way, and they were the little guy and they saw other big guys come onto the scene and they were like big and like, yo, my music's a shit. And it's you sort of like buy into the package, like there have definitely been, especially in the hip hop world, back when I was more into that, there were guys whose confidence was almost like infectious. It was like, whoa, I really believe it. You come in, you got the chains on, you got everything. It's like, you look like success. I'm buying into it, and it kind of works in that world. Right. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think, some of us who maybe are decent people, we can see that, and it's a little bit seductive. Like, maybe if I acted a little bit more like that, I'd get the respect I deserve. But fuck that.
So, another sip or spill. You're already sipping still, but it doesn't matter. Like I said. Do you have a most embarrassing moment ever at a show?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
he was prepared on this one.
Okay. I got two. All right. So
here we go.
I was out in Canada. Oh, here's great. So there's an A and B to the first story. The A is Justin, who's my tour manager. He opens up. We're in Toronto. And he goes, what's up, Vancouver, right at the beginning to get people hyped up for me. Oof. So at least I can play that off like, I don't know that guy. I don't know where he came from. But I get on stage, and the first intro that I have has this big build-up. Okay, epic intro, big build-up, drums are building. It's going to drop. And I'm like, yeah, it's big. It's longer than usual. I mean, it's like the intro, And finally it's supposed to drop, and my hands are waving, and I just hit the fucking play button, and it just fucking stops. It was like the biggest blue balls you could get, get people. So I was like, oh, and I just say, and you know, when something bad happens in a show, it's like you can't stop thinking about it. You know what I mean? So when it happens at the beginning of the show, you're just in for a bad time. I mean, it's like an hour of you just humiliating yourself over and over again in your head, replaying it. I was like, let's try it again, guys. I try to make a joke out of it. I rewind it, right? Okay, another one. I'm in Germany. And I've got the last song. Steve Aoki's about to go after me. And it's another big build-up, right? And it's been raining that day, so they've got these covers, these plastic covers over the DJ set. And I lift myself up to get onto the tables to hype people up for the very last drop. It's Perukaville, big crowd, Germany.
Yep.
And it's building and it's building and it's building and it's building and it's still building and it's still building. And I'm like, boy, something isn't right here. And in pushing myself up, I had smashed the plastic, which in turn smashed the USB, which I put it into emergency loop mode. Oh, no. So we are looping this build forever, and no drop was ever going to come because this USB is smashed. So I look at Steve Aoki, and he points at the thing, and I put it together, and what the fuck am I going to do? I literally have been building for a minute and a half. I filter out, and I say, thank you, Germany. This is unbelievable.
What's crazy is fans never fully remember that stuff. I mean, of course there are some that do, but like you were saying, you beat yourself up more than they did because you probably played it off and made it feel like it was meant to happen, you know, in a certain way, at least for the earlier one, you know?
Yeah.
Well, before we end the show, we have one last thing to do. Oh. This one's called the mystery shot. Both you and I have no idea what's in it, and it's always an absolute treat or not a treat. And it looks like they're up to no good over there. So we're about to receive our mystery shot, and then we shall remark on said mystery shot.
Jeez, what do you think it's going to be? Any ideas?
I mean, it could be anything. It's a mystery. Yeah. So this is the very end of the show. This is the mystery shot. You and I both don't know what this is, but look at these nice little glasses we have here with a jalapeno in here.
Okay.
Ooh.
Left some jalapeno just to get a little. It's like salt, you know, before the shot.
You take a bite of a jalapeno before you take the shot?
It was on there.
Do you like to party?
Yeah.
Okay. It smells spicy. Oh God.
Oh, it smelled like an oyster at first.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's like got some Bloody Mary sort of tomatoes.
There's definitely Tabasco in there. Oh,
definitely
Lord.
Tabasco. It's like a Bloody Mary shot almost.
Oh.
It's got some.
What is that?
Prairie fire.
A prairie fire?
Okay, elaborate.
Woof.
Tequila, Tabasco, and jalapeno.
Oh, that's it. There's no tomato or anything? Maybe Tabasco has some tomato. Oh, fuck. I don't know.
I feel like that just tasted like like I just took a shot of Tabasco.
Tastes like you buy it at Whole Foods to clear you out or something, you know?
That's the new wave, the prairie shot.
Yeah.
You know what? It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by.
It was good to catch up with you. Seriously, man.
Dude, it was great.
And you actually asked great questions. Well, you've probably been asked so many shitty questions that you've learned what a good question is.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We do our best here. But you know what? Everyone check out his new album.
Harmonica Andromeda. And it might be one of the
greatest
best.
electronic albums of all time. You heard it here first.
Of modern time.
Until next time, kind of isolated, we out of here.